Hi, everyone. Welcome to Summer EBT Deep Dive, Implementation Successes and Best Practices in 2025, hosted by the Food Research and Action Center. I'm Steve Hayward, FRAC's Communications Manager. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few brief housekeeping items. We expect this webinar to run about 60 minutes. We are recording the presentation and will send the recording and slides in a follow-up email. Closed captioning is available. To turn captions on, click Show CC in the bottom taskbar and select English as the spoken language. At the end of the presentation, we'll have time for questions and answers. To ask a question at any time, please use the Q&A tab. With that, I'll pass it off to Kelsey Boone, Senior Child Nutrition Policy Analyst at FRAC. Take it away, Kelsey.
Great. Thank you so much and welcome everyone. We're super excited to have you all here today to talk about some of the successes from Summer EBT in 2025. Next slide. So very brief agenda, we'll go over some introductions and then I will look at doing a Summer EBT overview for just general information about the program. And then we will pass it over to our speakers who will talk about implementation in their states. We have 3 wonderful states participating today: Alabama, Maine, and Washington. So we're really excited to hear from them. And then at the very end, we will have a question and answer session. Again, please use the Q&A function for that. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So next slide. I'd love to introduce our speakers, Star Calloway, the HR Program Manager, Alabama Department of Human Resources, Food Assistance Division on Summer EBT. Evan Denos, SNAP Program Manager, Maine Department of Health and Human Services, and Natalie Gonzalez, Summer EBT Program Manager, Food Partnerships and Programs Team, Washington State Department of Social and Health Services. So we're really excited to have all these experts here today. Next slide. So during the summer months, students lose access to free and reduced price school meals, and that can lead to higher rates of food insecurity and food insufficiency among children. This leads to an increased vulnerability to accelerated weight gain, increases in body mass index, as well as obesity. It also, the summer slide happens in the summer and allows or causes some learning loss, and this can exacerbate it when students are going without food. And the summer nutrition programs do offer free meals to students during the summer, but can be limited in their reach. And Summer EBT is there to help fill that gap. Next slide. So Summer EBT became a permanent and nationwide program in summer of 2024. The program provides $120 per child per summer period on an EBT card for groceries. And as I mentioned before, it is a complement to the summer nutrition program and can help reduce food insecurity for low-income households, particularly those that have low access to summer meals. Next slide. So this is a look at the states that participated in this program because it is an optional program for states to run. In 2025, we had 37 states as well as Washington, D.C., 5 Indian tribal organizations, and all 5 territories running the program. In 2024, the program reached over 21 million children, and those children received about $2.5 billion in benefits. This past summer, Alabama and Utah participated in the program, and Indiana actually dropped out. Indiana and Tennessee dropped out of the program. Next slide. So I just wanted to touch on some Summer EBT resources that FRAC has. We do have a Summer EBT website, including a website for families. We have done a bunch of case studies on best practices in the program, and all of those will be linked in the slides, which you will all receive when we send out the recording for this webinar. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Star Calloway from Alabama.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I am Starlet Calloway. I'm the program manager for Summer EBT here in the state of Alabama, and I will be going over Alabama Sunbelts and how implementation looked here in the state of Alabama. Next slide. So first we'll discuss timelines. Before I begin, here in Alabama, we wanted to develop a summer EBT solution that included a call center, client portal, administrative portal, and just them determining eligibility as a whole, them pretty much handling the entire process. So we released an RFP for a summer EBT solution on October 18th of 2024. We went through the process of conducting evaluations, and we notified a vendor on January 6th, 2025 that they were selected. Due to a few hiccups and delays, timelines, holidays, we were delayed in getting our contract finalized. So we did not finalize our contract until February 27th, 2025. Project development began immediately the following day on February 28th, mainly because in our proposal, we did state that we wanted, in our RFP, we stated that we wanted the vendor to be fully operational on April 1st. So the vendor went into this anticipating that they had maybe like an 8-week period if development began February 1st. But due to the delays, we were delayed by a month, you see. So we literally had a month to hit the ground rolling to try to develop and implement summer EBT for our state. So our projected go live date was April 1st, 2025. So our vendor that we selected, they proposed a lean, agile methodology to configure the system in iterative sprint cycles. So our first 2-week period, that phase is consisted of a discovery and planning phase. This consisted of project initiation, requirement validation, and finalizing the scope. The next 4-week period consisted of our system setup and configuration phase. That phase consisted of system setup, configuration, and development of software features to meet the department's needs. The last 2-week period was the final acceptance and go live phase. This phase entailed end-user acceptance testing, user training, and operational readiness activities. Keep in mind that due to the delay, and we were pressed for time, some of these phases did overlap. So we were doing several phases at the same time to try to meet our deadline of April 1st. We did not meet the deadline. We did have to extend it by a 2-week period, which isn't bad. We still, developed a program and got it off the ground and running within 6 weeks. So we successfully deployed our summer EBT solution on April 14th, 2025. Right, so to talk a little bit about participation, in Alabama, we identified our streamlined population and issued the bulk of those students first. When I say streamlined, those are students that in our state receive SNAP TANF, and they are participating in our Medicaid demonstration project through our school system. We don't have any active Indian tribes here in Alabama, so it mainly consisted of SNAP TANF and those participating in Medicaid through this demonstration project. So for streamlined participation, to date, we have issued 457,219 students benefits via streamlined eligibility, which is 97.18% of students that were identified as being eligible without having to apply for benefits. For direct applications, which consists of students who have applied digitally or via paper app, we did receive approximately 50,000 applications. Of those approximately 50,000, we actually denied approximately 33,000. Mainly the denials were due to being over the income or being duplicate applications. And we actually have approximately 4,000 still pending that we plan to issue benefits to by the end of the month. Of those approximately 50,000 applications, we did approve 13,264 of those applications to date, which is 2.81% of students that were eligible via application. Next slide. All right, best practice. Although 2025 was our very first year of implementing, we've identified several areas that will ensure a smooth implementation process for summer of 2026. Those areas include, we plan to continue to allow our Summer EBT vendor to process applications and determine eligibility, continue to operate an independent Summer EBT call center, maintain a client portal that houses streamlined student and direct applicant data, continue to work with Alabama State Department of Education to obtain student enrollment data. We plan to continue easily identifying our streamlined students, continue to issue Summer EBT benefits on a separate card other than the SNAP card. We do not issue to existing cards. We issue on a separate card. Remain knowledgeable of the Summer EBT program, and maintain a great relationship with our Summer EBT vendor to minimize the impact of Summer EBT on the state. Having a great relationship or maintaining a great relationship is important, especially being that when we operate at PEBT, knowing the burden that it caused here on the state. I say burden, but it was just, a lot to do with minimal staff. So knowing what we went through with PEBT, having a vendor, a secure vendor to assist in the operations is key. So it's important to maintain a great relationship. Next slide. So a few lessons learned. We plan to improve our methods of school enrollment verification to better assist our vendor by requiring an SSID, which is our state student identifier, and providing a list of all enrolled students to the vendor. Right now, this year we only provided them with like the streamlined student data. So it was hard to kind of verify school enrollment, especially for our NSLP students. So we plan to send several lists for them to ingest into their system to use to have to bump up against so that they're able to verify if the students are actually enrolled. And by requiring the SSID, that will also assist with verifying student enrollment. We plan to make sure that the customer call center is adequately staffed to handle the call volume. During certain peaks of the summer operational period, we did have a very high call volume, and the call center wasn't necessarily equipped to handle them all in a timely manner. So my staff, myself, were having to assist with handling calls and resolving client issues. So just making sure that the customer call center is adequately staffed would be a lesson learned. Also making sure that the staff is culturally diverse. We received a few comments or suggestions, complaints about not necessarily being able to understand a lot of our customer service representatives at the call center. So we have, made mention to our vendor to try to ensure that the staff is culturally diverse, so that it's a mixture of different languages, so that we won't continue to have those issues for next summer. We plan to increase our outreach effort pretty much by ensuring that all households are knowledgeable of the program requirements, especially our CEP schools. That's the bulk of where we think we are having the lack of knowledge or understanding, is because our community eligible provision schools receive free meals. They assume that they automatically qualify for Summer EBT, which is one of the key differences from PEBT. They actually have to apply and be approved to receive free or reduced meals, not automatically receive because of their school provision or school status. So just making sure that we get the information out and make sure the people that need to apply know that they need to apply, those that need to apply know, and those that doesn't they won't. Next slide. Right, so program successes. So in Alabama, we successfully implemented the Summer EBT program during our first year of operation. We successfully issued $56,457,960 in Summer EBT benefits to date during our first year of implementation. We have successfully provided summer nutrition assistance to over 470,000 households to date. We have successfully developed an eligibility system with the assistance of our EBT vendor, Summer EBT vendor. We have successfully developed an independent Summer EBT call center with the assistance of our Summer EBT vendor. And that ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Star. And now I will hand it over to Evan. Evan, I think you're on mute. Apologies.
I apologize for that. I was on mute. Thank you, Kelsey, and thank you, Star, for your presentation. I'm Evan. I work with Managing SNAP here in Maine, and I particularly work with the Sunbucks program and have been very involved with that implementation over the past year or so. To set the stage for Sunbucks 2025, it was certainly an adventure for us in Maine with plenty of dramatic moments. There was the excitement of launching new technology. There was the suspense of pushing through last-minute plan approvals, and occasionally and frequently, or more frequently than I like, the comedy of things simply not going the way they're supposed to, and you just have to have a sense of humor about it. But in the end, everything came together with a heartwarming conclusion of feeding more than 91,000 Maine kids over the summer. Next slide, please. 2025 was a transitional year for our Sunbucks program, especially with the technological changes, as well as this being my first year in the current role and with the SNAP program. However, although there is still room for us to grow and improve, we did hit or come close to our key goals. Next slide, please. Thank you. The majority of Sunbucks benefits for Maine, about 97%, were issued right at the beginning of summer to students who were either automatically certified or had previously completed an application. Most of those eligibility determinations were through automatic certification. In total, we approved about 900 manual applicants, representing about 1% of all certified students, with the rest being 99% being certified automatically. Part of the high automatic certification rate was due to Maine taking advantage of a state option that allowed us to certify school-age children who were open to Medicaid if they had a household income under 185% of the FPL. If an active EBT card already existed for an eligible child, SNAP was loaded right onto that existing card, which worked especially well for active SNAP households that they already had a card they used regularly and were used to that. If no card was available, we mailed new EBT cards to individual children. And due to the mailing capacity limits, those cards went out in batches starting in mid-May. Next slide, please. As a result of these efforts, Sunbucks reached more than 91,000 students in Maine. I know for most states that might not sound like a lot, but for us, we're a small state, and that's about where we expect it to be. We're happy with that. And at 70%, our redemption rate has also been about where we expected it to be as well. We found that the highest redemption rate by far was for active SNAP households. and the lowest was for households that were issued a new EBT card for the first time. Maine implemented two major improvements in 2025. First was technology upgrades, including integration of Sunbucks into our eligibility processing system, as well as establishing an online application option. We also created a SNAP 50-50 SNAP Sunbucks outreach position to help with messaging. Well, Sunbucks was largely a manual process in 2024. In 2025, we launched new technology to integrate Sunbucks into the same existing system that workers already use to process SNAP, TANF, and Medicaid. Although additional updates remain pending, it's a bit of a sore spot for me personally, the upgrade was a major step forward for efficiency. And we also integrated Sunbucks into My Maine Connection, which is an online portal that members of the public already use for other programs. So for example, a family logging on to apply for SNAP to address their nutritional needs, they can now apply for Sunbucks at the same time as they're already here for SNAP or Medicaid or TANF. Since Sunbucks is still fairly new and unfamiliar to many families, we leveraged a new outreach position to spread the word. This position worked closely with community partners and created materials that were shared through those partners, as well as schools, and directly through our agency as well. In addition to basic Sunbucks awareness, a major point of emphasis was trying to answer common questions preemptively, both to assist clients and to try to mitigate the extra demands on our staff that come from adding a whole new program. As you can see from the list here, we took a multi-pronged approach to messaging that really took advantage of our relationships with advocacy organizations in the community that were eager, they were excited about Sunbucks and they were eager to collaborate with us and share information. With Sunbucks 2026 already underway, we will look forward to an even better year to come. Additional technology updates are an important, if elusive, area we hope to see improvement in 2026. Although unfortunately, full integration into our eligibility system is delayed by HR 1 related priorities, and we're going to try to get it in there as soon as we can. Among the improvements to outreach and messaging is a planned overhaul of the SNAP and Sunbucks web pages in hopes of providing the public a better, more user-friendly resource to find accurate information easily. And one of the biggest lessons from 2025 was to get ahead of deadlines. A slow, very slow federal approval process for our 2025 plan, on top of complications coordinating between the lead and partner agencies, led to serious difficulties rolling out Sunbucks last year. That was one of our biggest struggles last year, but this year we are ahead of the game. When we have already submitted our full plan of operations and management, or POM, that is not even due until February. Through our adjustments, outreach efforts, and year-over-year increases in public familiarity with Sunbucks, we hope to see a rise in issuance and usage this year for 2026. Our goal will be to hit 100,000 participants. I saw Alabama's way over that. Good job, guys. And improve redemption from 70 to 80% of benefits issues. The headline on family impact is that Sunbucks helps feed kids over the summer. and it has been a welcome relief for family budgets. Feedback from families participating in the program has been positive. Families have expressed their gratitude, with one of the big themes we've seen being this relief. Sunbucks opens just a little more room in their budget, which ensures their needs are met and reduces the stress of worrying about possibly coming up short. The short story that I shared here about the full snack drawer, and I'll read that for you. I think it's a wonderful story to share. This is coming from one of our workers saying, I had a client very grateful for her Sunbucks last week. As a single mother of 3 growing boys, she's working full time, and every time she gets a raise or promotion, her rent goes up. She was participant of the TANF program and worked very hard to get off the system, but she struggles as the children's appetites grow and gets minimal SNAP. Just thought someone should know that there are appreciative clients out there. The kids were awful excited when they realized their snack drawer was full again. I think that's a great example of where a parent was able to provide something that she otherwise wouldn't be able to because of Sunbucks. In this situation, this is something that was shared spontaneously by one of our workers, just because this client was so appreciative, so excited, and the person just wanted to share it, and the worker just wanted to share that as well. So we knew the impact that this was having. And of course, the long-term benefits of Sunbucks extend beyond individual families. By improving child nutrition, we're fostering healthier communities all around, which benefits us. Conclusion, the Sunbucks Child Nutrition Program continues to evolve through its implementation in 2025, with lessons learned paving the way for improvement and adjustments for this year in 2026.
Thank you so much, Evan. That was such a great presentation. I really appreciated hearing all about the impact on families. I think that's great to highlight. And with that, I will pass it over to Natalie.
Hi there, everyone. So good afternoon. My name is Natalie Gonzalez. So I was introduced earlier, but I am the Summer EBT Designated Program Manager for Washington State. Me and my colleague Troy Burgess, we both manage the Washington State Sunbucks program. So I just have one slide here with kind of the bulk of the information for 2025. So this is actually our second year administering Summer EBT or Sunbucks. So a bit about our timelines. So for this year, our issuances began in June. That's when they started going out. The data that was sent to our contractor from DSHS, so SNAP TANF data, and then school data actually started in May. And then we didn't actually start issuing until June, once we started getting into that data and deduplicating it. The last day to apply for Sunbucks this year was August 29th. Our portal, our online portal that our contractor manages for us remains open. So any applications that are being received after August 29th are being held for Summer EBT for summer 2026. So it's always open and anybody is able to apply whenever they choose. Right now, we're still in the process of issuing benefits. We just received our final upload of data from the students from DSHS. So the SNAP TANF data just, our last upload just got completed last week. And then we are still working through another batch of data from the schools. So this number is very preliminary, but it is we're currently at 533,094 children. And like I said, that's very preliminary. So I do anticipate that going up. By how much, I can't be sure, but that will definitely be going up. And this year we received quite a bit of applications. So this year we received about 33,000 applications, which is a little more than double applications of last year. So that's great news. That means that people are actively interested in the benefits and want to make sure that their children get what they are entitled to. So that's great news. Some of the challenges we faced this year. So one big one. So when we submitted our POM, we were told. Oh, sorry, my camera. I think I'm having some bandwidth issues. Let me see if I can get it back on. Maybe not. Okay, well, hopefully you guys can still hear me. So when we submitted our POM the first time, we got some feedback saying that we weren't able to, okay, perfect, thank you, Kelsey. So we weren't going to be able to automatically certify a group of children. So at DSHS in Washington State, we have state-funded benefits. So we have the SNAP and TANF, which is federal, but we also administer a couple of state-funded programs. So one of those state-funded programs is called FAP, and the other one is called SFA. So FAP is the benefit that is issued to people who don't meet the eligibility requirements around citizenship, but they do meet the eligibility requirements around income. So that's what those state-funded benefits are from Washington State, and I know that not all states do those. But last year for Summer EBT for 2024, we were able to automatically qualify those children for benefits. Sorry, for Sunbucks benefits, but this year we were not. So that affected our issuance data and our issuance information, and also our predicted numbers that we thought we were going to have. And so what we ended up doing was we ended up reaching out to those communities specifically. So we had our internal IT department pull the information around those state-funded recipients, and then we sent letters out to them directly, encouraging them to apply for the benefit. So you know that there was a way to kind of try and get around that, but that really surprised us, I think, this year, not being able to include them in the automatically qualified group for Summer EBT. So we're really interested to see what happens this year. We have already submitted our IPOM to be able to operate for 2026, and we have gotten some feedback. So we're really interested to see what it looks like for next year as far as being able to automatically certify our recipients of state-funded benefits in Washington State. So that was one of the bigger challenges that we faced. And then successes. So we had plenty of successes this year. Like I said, this is our second year of operating Summer EBT, and it is, I believe, probably our fifth year operating with our contractor. So our contractor has been the same contractor that we have for PEBT, and we are now utilizing them for Summer EBT. So one of the biggest successes we had, which was kind of a challenge, but we see it as a success. So we had opportunity to build out our systems and enhance our matching criteria. So we are receiving information from, applications, schools, and then also DSHS data. So we have 3 sources of data, and being able to make sure that we are deduplicating those properly and not issuing duplicate benefits is extremely important. And this year we were able to kind of dig deep into that and make sure that we were not duplicating any of the benefits to these children. And so that was one of our biggest successes, I feel. And then we also received a couple of grants. So we received 2 grants for our technology to be able to enhance it. And that is definitely going to help with enhancing our matching criteria and building those systems out. So for 2026, we're really optimistic that a lot of the stuff that we were having to do manually will actually be automated. So that's really exciting stuff because that's going to save us a lot of time. And then the next one, so a lot of learning lessons. So aside from the data and the IT and the tech side, we implemented a couple new menu options for our contact center. So our contact center is managed by our contractor. And they only had menu options for English and Spanish, with other options. You were able to ask for other options if you hit 3, and then they would get you a translator. So we actually implemented a Russian menu option because we saw that that was something that was necessary. So we were able to do that this year. And then another thing that we did, which I kind of heard, I believe it was the first state kind of talking about something like this, but we were able to get approval from our leadership to be able to increase the number of staff that were staffing our contact center over the summer period. So during the summer months, we have more staff staffing a contact center. And then after the summer period, those staff get moved to different priorities within the agency. So that was really exciting, and it has been super helpful because our call volume right now is very high, and the fact that we were able to get more contact center agents in there during the busy time has really helped us not to have so many lost calls and things like that. And then lastly here, this year we were able to get a dedicated Sunbucks team. So we have a dedicated contact center through our contractor, but this year we were actually able to, within DSHS, have our own Sunbucks team. So the team comprises of me and Troy, so we're the program managers. Then we have a lead worker, and we also have a supervisor. Last year, we were kind of just a little bit of a branch off of the SNAP team, but this year, now we have our own team, and while our lead and supervisor do manage a couple other programs, it is nice to kind of have a team that can specifically focus on Sunbucks and being able to deliver the benefits and also be able to troubleshoot any of the things that come up, and we can focus on that. So those are kind of the biggest things for 2025. And that was all I had. If anybody has any questions, I'm here.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all of our speakers. Please put your questions in the Q&A function. We do have one question in right now, and that is kind of a best practice type question. So any of our speakers that would like to answer this question are welcome to. So the question is, why is it better to issue Summer EBT benefits on separate cards? Or why did your state choose to do that instead of on combined on a single card?
I'm trying to figure out how to answer the question, because I don't know if I was the only state that did that, so that may be my question. So pretty much to try to the drawdown and everything, I think, and that's not my area, but I think it helps to keep them separate. But then also, it doesn't confuse the recipients pretty much of because I think it's something like some EBT supposed to be like the first out or something. It's some technical details like behind that. So my direction, everybody just thought that it would be best for us to issue on separate cards, and we just issue in the children's name. And it, to me, it's just, I think it's a cleaner process, just trying to keep it separate on what's actually SNAP and what's Summer EBT. And then even as far as, you know, sometimes like helping with the redemption rates and stuff like that, like, you know, if this 120, you know, was issued and spent, that's what it was for, you know, Summer EBT. But I think it's just the easier process for us, not trying to combine with existing cards. And then ours isn't going through our eligibility system, it's handled outside of the system. So that's, I think, another factor is we're issuing, but just straight through our processor. Our IT team is, you know, processing files and sending it to the processor, but nothing is going through our actual SNAP eligibility system. So to just try to help keep them separate and be a cleaner process when it comes to reporting and things like that, that, I guess that's why we decided to do separate cards.
Yes, yeah, and Washington also does it separate. And it's for those exact same reasons that Star mentioned. We want to be able to keep the information separate and the data. And also the expungement timelines are different. So that's what you were referring to, Star. And we also are not processing it in our internal eligibility system. So it just makes it a lot more complicated if we were to try and put it onto the same card. In the years to come, if it is in our internal system, that may change, but for now, yeah, separate, and that's why.
I think one other reason that we have heard from other states that issuing on separate cards is the direction they went is so that the cards can follow the child. So if the household is split up, each child receives their own card. So wherever the child is, that's where the card goes. Okay. I do have a question for you, Star. Someone is curious to know what vendor Alabama uses, if you are able to share.
We use City. Their correct name is Creative Information Technology Incorporated, but we City for our Summer EBT, but our EBT vendor is Conduit.
Thank you so much. And I don't know what the redemption rates are like in each of your states, but do you have an assessment of potential reasons for relatively low redemption rates?
I can speak to that. The 70% number comes from Maine. And from conversations we've had with other states, it looks like that's consistent with experiences nationwide. Part of what I would attribute to that is Sunbucks is unique in that pretty much every other public benefit you might receive is something you go and apply for. You have to show up and ask somebody, you got to fill out a form. And then if you're lucky, somebody says yes and you can have it. Where Sunbucks, you can be approved for it. And you not only can you be, most people are, 99% of people in our case are approved automatically just based on information we already have or is available through the schools. So as a result of that, first of all, we have people who may certainly simply not be interested. There may be some people who are eligible, but for their own, personal or, philosophical reasons, they prefer not to participate in public assistance, and they're just not going to redeem it. They can do that. We do have an opt-out option where someone can take steps to actively opt out. But the easiest way to opt out is you just do nothing, and that's part of it. Also, this is still a fairly new program. So again, where people didn't come and apply, this is something we're just coming to them and saying, hey, you're approved. Here's a letter saying you're getting this. Here's a card coming in the mail. If people just aren't familiar with that, and that's where we talked about the outreach efforts we're making. We're making the effort. We're trying to get the word out in the community, but it still is new, and we are hearing some people, they're just not sure what it is. They haven't heard of it yet. So with that lack of familiarity, they're just not sure what they're getting themselves into. and I've decided just not to take advantage. And that's something we expect to see improvements on over time. As word does get out, this is something that's an ongoing, well-established program.
And again, kind of to build on that, some of our conversations with states, households that are not SNAP households they only get this card with that $120. So it is kind of difficult to spend that down the entire way without, overdrafts or whatever, not overdrafts, but spending down to zero just typically doesn't happen as much with non-SNAP households than in households that receive SNAP benefits. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate your participation in this webinar, and thank you so much to our speakers for such great information that you have shared today. Summer EBT is a program that we're really excited about and really supportive of, and really looking forward to seeing how this program grows over the next few years. So thank you all so much and have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.